Well, hello there, YouTube. It's Friday, April 19th, 2024. And in this video, I'm going to test and reinstall the auxiliary fan in this 560 SL. You know, there's a lot that goes on when you put in a new engine and transmission into the vehicle. So everything that I'm going to connect to with that fresh new engine and transmission is going to be old parts, and I need to test those things. That includes this auxiliary fan, for example. And that's how it is with everything on this vehicle. You know, starting with the rear of the vehicle. This is looking up towards the front. That's the exhaust system. You know, everything that attaches to. You find out you've got old bolts, and then you find out, you know, these are metric bolts. Try to find a metric bolt here in this country. At least here in Arizona, it's like, metric, what's that? So even ordering them is difficult, it seems. I just don't get it. I don't know what's the big deal about metric bolts. But that's a problem. Another thing that you're going to be doing, or I'm going to be doing, is connecting the fuel to this fresh new engine. So I need to make sure that the fuel pumps work. I need to evacuate the old fuel that's been sitting in there for over 16 years. So, you know, and I want to flush anything that's in there currently with fresh fuel before I attach it to the vehicle. And in addition to that, you know, you don't want to have your fuel pumps pumping until you're ready to actually start the vehicle. So what I mean by that is that I need to crank the engine. So the engine needs to turn over and over and over until I can build a good pressure, oil pressure first. I don't want to be dumping fuel into there. So I got to test all that stuff, right? So there's a lot that goes on than just putting the engine and transmission in there. So now that leads to the next thing. When am I going to go live? Well, I thought the smartest thing to do is to go live next weekend. That'll be April 27th, 2024. If everything goes right, it will be on that day where I go live. Not to start the car, but just to test everything going live. I've never gone live. Even though my channel is called TonyLiveTV, I have not actually done a live show. So I want to test all that. I want to set up multiple cameras. Right now, you know, this is actual cameras right now. These are camera shots. That's a camera that's sitting there on the floor. This is also a camera that's sitting on the floor looking up at the fuel pumps. So I have multiple cameras, you know, including this one right here. My other cameras, those two that you just saw, those cameras are 20 years old, guys. So it's not the greatest, right? I mean, this one here is a really good camera. I use that for this. I don't use it a lot for other things. You know, if you want to contribute to the channel and help me improve my old 20-year-old Sony Instacams or whatever the heck those things are called. If you want to help, click on the thanks button down below or my PayPal or something. Contribute to the channel because I really want to step it up, right? I mean, the higher quality we get, the better. Because that's, I don't know, I'm into that. But anyway, that show will be kind of like a Q&A. Not that you're going to ask me what the torque setting is for your head bolts, or how long the bolts are, or anything like that. It'll be more like, you know, hey, Tony, you know, what does this look like, for example? Because I have the vehicle quite a bit above the ground right now, and even have two wheels off. So we can look at any detail you guys haven't seen yet. Maybe you want to see the interior. I don't know. But I thought we would just keep that open. You know, we can just look at those things that maybe you missed, or you had a question about, you know, a particular wire. Geez, you know, I have this wire sticking here. What the heck is that all about? Maybe I can help answer that during that live show. So, with that said, now that you know there is a date, we are moving forward. I have a lot of things going on. Like I said, trying to get a metric bolt. Come on. But that's what I'm trying to do, trying to get a metric bolt. And I have a couple of other things, so I'm doing like 3 or 4 different videos. I'm not sure about how they're coming out. All of a sudden, I throw out an auxiliary fan video at you. Sorry about that. No, it's not a first start. But it's going to be. We're going to go live for a first start. As you guys know, anyone who subscribes to my channel, you know by now that I'm going to start this car live for the first time since 2008. And you can be here with me when I do that. I'm going to have like a camera over the engine, right? An aerial over it, down below, multiple microphones. So, and even some possibility of celebrities, you know. So we'll see how all that goes. And I'd like you guys to join me with that. And I think it's time to get this video going, and I'll talk to you guys on the next one. Before I put the condenser in here and the radiator and hook everything up, and then I might find out that this thing doesn't work, I want to test it now. You can see that it generates electricity. So I have the negative on negative and positive on positive because this fan is reversible. It can go in either direction. I'm just going to barely turn it on here. You can see it about 2.5 volts. She starts to spin. Great. Let's say that needs a new bearing. This is the front passenger side. The fan is right over that way. This is the front right behind the lights here. This is your brake ABS system here. And I tracked that wire for the fan to this. And this had that bracket on there, right down there. See that bracket down there? It was on here, but I assume that this all gets tucked there and then this ties into it down there. For now, I'm going to go ahead and disconnect it. Disconnected. To remove the auxiliary fan, there is a screw here, or a bolt. And on the other side, on that same bracket, there's another one. I also want to stress that you can remove this auxiliary fan even with the condenser in here. What you would do instead is you'd come over to the outside here and remove these brackets. And then you can go ahead and you still remove the same bolts, and then it just comes out this way rather than the way that I'm going to do it, which is through here. For these, I'm going to use a ratchet. Still 8mm. This here only has a lock washer. Same thing with this side. Just a lock washer. So I already have the power disconnected. I want to point out that there's a series, or will be a series, for everything on the AC system. Obviously, starting from the auxiliary fan, then the condenser. You know, I've already done the AC compressor, done the oil on that, flushed the condenser. We're going to charge it, all that. So there'll be a complete playlist for the AC system, climate control. And now that thing should just come out just like that. Grab your wire on this other side here, feed it through, and there we are. You can see that it just sits in there. There's a rubber grommet here. It's in perfect condition. And there's even a little piece on there. Can I take that out too? Well, I could take it out, but why waste it? But it actually fits. There's a cutout for it. You're not going to be able to see it, but there's two little cutouts on each side that this fits into. So they have to line up to be properly seated. But I'm going to go ahead and put this on the new fan first. So this is the auxiliary fan that I decided to go with, Melee. I've had good experience with this company. I've never had anything necessarily fail prematurely or anything like that. Right away I see a small difference to begin with. I see that this little nut right here is a small nylock type nut, and you'll see when we compare them. But I just noticed that. But it's got a good steel frame. Nothing else in the box. It's got the proper connector. So I've got to remove this plastic thing here. It just snaps on. Quality of the build, this is really, really, really cheap. This frame's fine. The plastic here is like the plastic you would find on those little model aircraft. You know, the RC type equipment. It's a really flimsy kind of plastic, where this is more of an ABS type plastic. This is much cheaper. It only comes on at a certain temperature, and there's two speeds. There's a low speed and a high speed. That's it. The electrical is the same. The color coding of the wire is different. This is traditional Mercedes with black and brown. That one is brown and orange. But the pins for the current are identical, so this will turn in the right direction, and the pitch of the blades are very much similar. So we're pretty close. So to start with, I can go ahead and pop this off. And that's really all there is to that. And then we'll transfer that to this one. But I'm going to actually clean that first. What's nice is that I have saved this. I have not caused any damage. I'm sure I can pop this little clip off of here, take this off, get inside, and if the bearings are okay and they're just dry, I might be able to get away with this. And this is all original, and I still have it. I'm not throwing it away. I don't throw away anything. I even keep the broken ties. So yes, I have everything. But this one here works. It's just making some noises at different RPMs and things like that. There's no sense in taking a chance with it. We'll just use this little aftermarket one. It'll be fine. But you can see the difference. There's quite a bit of difference in the build and the build quality and everything else. This is much better. This is going to be repairable, and I will have this original that stays with the vehicle. So that was pretty easy to pop off, and then we'll pop it onto this one here. Here's the part number for this, and here's the part number for this. After playing with this fan shroud, this little screen, I'll call it, you know, there is holes for this, but if you'll notice, the wiring don't come out right. This wire comes out over to the right, this wire goes off to the left. So that's actually what they did wrong. For this, to make this for the 560 SL, all I got to do is just detach it from this one, which is what this one is on now, and move it over to that one, and then everything will be lined up properly. My bottom hole is going to line up. Here's the bracket for that. That lines up, and then there's a hole here and a hole there, or you know, with threads for the two brackets that are on the vehicle. So it looks like I can use this. So let's continue. So the way that that thing there works really is just, you know, where the hole is and connects to the back side. Looks good. All right, so that is how it will work. Now, let's get it wired like the other one. This is the bottom, that's the bottom. That electrical goes off that way. This electrical went off this way. Other than that, you guys, see this little cutout right here? That's that same little cutout. Even the screw holes on the sides are all identical. So this cage is virtually identical to this cage. Has the same little curve right here. Same little curve. So I would say that these are virtually identical. The motors obviously are not. Now, I could easily just cut this wire tie right here and just flip it over and come out this way, but I don't think that's the right way to do it. The right way to do it is to take these screws out, cut this and rotate this motor so it's coming out just like it is here. So I don't want to be bringing my wires across this. Instead, I want to bring it out right through there. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start by cutting this wire here. I have a little bit bigger tie to use on that. Now these, not very tight. If everything goes as planned, we should be able to just turn our little fan. Oops. Keep turning our fan motor and bring it over there. There we go. There's no Loctite. These are clear. Now we have an identical system. This is UV and heat resistant wire tie. And I'll cut off the excess, obviously. I am not going to use like that original Mercedes tape. I have tape, but you know, that tape's much better than my tape because I can see that thing stayed all these years. If I put it on here, it has a chance of unraveling. And when the tape unravels and gets caught into here, you got big problems. There's no way that this is going to catch. If it catches, it means it's broke, and then this thing will knock it out of the way. So I would say that that's probably the safest way to go, is just to leave it without that. Now I'll cut off this excess here. I will wire tie it though. Just so it does not come back and hit anything. There, I feel confident with that. So let's install it. So now, if everything went right, this little tab right here is going to fit into that tab right down there. Once that thing is down in that hole, everything lines up pretty close. It's not perfect. Well, I don't know. It's pretty close to being perfect, I guess. All right, solid in the bottom. And now I'll get these two here. There we go. Nice and solid. Spins, nothing hits. Let's test it. All right, I've got my electrical all hooked up. It's routed properly now. And I've decided that these little tabs here, you see that little metal tab? And I've determined that those are for weights to even out this fan, you know, to make it true, you know? Because they're on there made to not come off. That's all I can tell you. You don't just slip them off. So that's what I suspect that those are for. All right, just like before, let's go ahead and try it. There's my power supply. Let's turn it on, just see how much it takes to turn the fan. Not much. But 1.5 volts will turn the fan. Sounds good. It's a 2-speed fan. I'm only running 10 there. She tops out at about 11 at 9.5 amps. So it looks like it works great. Nice and quiet. That's my guess, is it probably runs normally. We could look it up, but for now I'm just saying it comes on, probably does 5. Something about like that. And then probably goes to there. So it's nice and quiet in between. You can see the fan itself seems to be running thoroughly true. So that's it. Well, you guys, that is how I tested, removed, modified an auxiliary fan, and installed the auxiliary fan. Well, that's it for now, you guys. Thanks again for watching.